Let's talk about the appeal process. If you're considering filing an appeal, here are some important things to know. First, an appeal is not a new trial. Also, the appeal process can take months, even years, and it can be expensive. There are many different rules and procedures that you must follow to have your appeal heard. And it will help if you have a lawyer with experience in appeals to review your case and help you decide what to do. We hear a lot about appeals, and it can be confusing. So let's go through the appeal process step by step. Say you lose a case in trial court. In some, but not all cases, you can ask a higher court to review the ruling. Most of the time, the appeals court looks at only two things. Did the trial court judge make a mistake about the law? And if the judge made a mistake, did it affect the final decision in your case? Again, an appeal is not a new trial. That means you cannot go back to court for a new trial with a different judge, and you cannot submit new evidence or new witnesses for the court to consider. The Court of Appeal will only look at what happened in the trial court. To figure out if you can appeal, ask yourself, am I a party to the case in the trial court? Because you cannot appeal if you're only related to the party or affected by the decision. Next, ask, am I within the deadline to file an appeal? This is different for every case, but often it's 60 or 180 days after the trial court's judgment. The deadlines for filing an appeal are strict and usually cannot be extended. If you miss the deadline, your appeal will likely be dismissed. Lastly, ask, do I have an appealable order? So how do you know if your order can be appealed? Well, you can always appeal the final judgment in a case. This is the ruling at the end that decides the whole case and usually says what the parties must do, like pay money. You can also appeal most orders the trial court makes after the final judgment. But in general, decisions made by the trial court before final judgment cannot be appealed right away. There are only a few exceptions, and you'll need to find out if your case is one of the exceptions. Let's say your case is eligible for an appeal. How do you decide if an appeal is the right choice? Keep in mind, there has to be a legal basis for an appeal. You cannot appeal a court's decision just because you don't like it, or you think you should have won. So think about why you want to appeal, and be honest. If you think the judge was wrong to believe witness A over witness B, or to believe the other side's version of the facts and not yours, these are not reasons to appeal. But maybe you think the judge made a mistake when applying the law in your case. An example is if the judge did not allow you to present important evidence that should have been allowed during your trial. If you can prove that there was a legal mistake and that it led you to lose your case, then you may have a good reason to appeal. You may be wondering what happens between when you file an appeal and when the court decides on your appeal. The big thing to know is that filing an appeal does not usually stop the trial court's order. There are a few exceptions to this rule, but this is true in general. So in most cases during the appeal process, you have to do whatever the trial court ordered you to do. You may be able to ask the court to grant what's called a stay to postpone the trial court's order. These requests can be complicated, and there's no guarantee the court will say yes. Also, you may still have to pay up front some of the money ordered by the court. You may have other options besides an appeal to address what you feel was wrong with your trial. You might consider settlement or mediation, which you can do even if you file an appeal within the deadline. Ask your trial court if it has a mediation or settlement program that can help you reach an agreement with the other party. Also, talk to a lawyer about any motions or requests that you could make to ask the trial court to cancel or reconsider the judge or jury's decision. Finally, before you decide to appeal, think about if you have the time, money, and ability to go through the appeal process. The process can take months, even years. Appeals are complicated and there are risks. There are many expenses, and a court can fine people who file appeals that have no legal grounds. If you appeal without a lawyer, you won't get special treatment. The rules require you to do all the paperwork correctly, provide a record of what happened in the trial court, write legal briefs, and more. If you don't do everything by the rules, you could lose your appeal. And if you lose your appeal, you will probably have to pay the appeal costs of the other party. The decision to appeal can be hard. Your local appeals court may have a help center available to you. Talk to a lawyer who has experience with appeals. If you need help finding one, you can contact the Lawyer Referral Service of your county bar association. Even if you decide to represent yourself, a consultation with a lawyer can save you time and money by helping you decide if you can or should file an appeal, and what your other options are. Thanks for watching this video about appeals. You can find more information on this website.